Alright, let's do this. Hey there people, friends and foes, or whatever I used to say. I haven't been updating for a while, and the reason is simple, is that I haven't had opportunity to bring recording stuff to my local armories, and at this point I also had to return most of the stuff to the friend that I was borrowing things from. So I probably won't be uploading armory content for a while. But since I've been to the calling in Rotterdam last weekend, I just want to share my deck list, some thoughts, and a small tournament recap from that event. So that's what you're in for during this video. And if we get started, first things first, I decided early on that I most likely would be playing Mario or Huntsman. And I kind of expected Victor, Mario and Osilio to be the most represented decks in the tournament. And since even though I really enjoy playing Huntsman, I couldn't for the life of me understand how I'm supposed to beat mainly Victor, but also Osilio. I also find Osilio to be a very hard matchup. I mean, we can beat Victor by high rolling and getting rid of their, I guess if we win a couple of clashes, manage to prevent them from getting gold, and then hit Mr. Goldman Estate and Remembrance or some other big attacks with Hunter or Hunted, we can get through. But it's a really bad matchup, and I think at least I felt like Huntsman struggle into whatever deck that can present a big weapon into them. So I gave up on Huntsman, and I felt like Mario has a decent shot into most stuff that I can sit across from. The worst matchup so far has been like hard fatigue slop, but that might be a skill issue on my part. And I also struggle into gravy, which I didn't expect to see that many gravies in Rotterdam. So I'm gonna do a quick showing of my deck list, and I will upload this link to this deck in the description, so there is no rush to look through this. But in general, I think my deck doesn't have that much spice to it. I run one CNC, decided not to respect Prism at all. I run 2 Codex of Inertia, which seems pretty standard. My blue suite is pretty standard as well, I'd say. And when I did some testing leading up to the event, I didn't face a single Mario during the entire weekend, but my game plan was to bring all the reacts I could, and especially the 4 block ones seems like the best ones. So rather than adding extra traps, I decided to add a couple of extra shelters, so bringing my total D-react count up to 7 in the mirror match. No, 8 in the mirror match. Apart from that, I also added a Remembrance and a Relentless Pursuit, mainly to target fatigue decks. And I also added the pet card of mine, namely Red Shred. And I think this is the only real, don't know if I would call it spice, but like the only unconventional inclusion of the deck. And I think Red Shred has pretty much the same spots as Incision could have. Because thinking about it, I would guess I would bring Incision in against maybe Osilio and maybe Dio as well, in slots where I could bring Red Shred into the Dio matchup. I would never bring it into Osilio because they rarely block. but I decided I really want the 4/4 defense thingy against the defensive decks, mainly Victor and other cards with other heroes with D-reacts. And it makes such a big difference having the opportunity to shred things like Living Witness, and also like any of my attacks, Pay the Backside is a really big target to shred as well. And in addition to of course, the daggers, but also the stealth cards. And I think Red Shred was a fine inclusion. I don't ever bricked my arsenal with it. I think the only matchup where maybe I would rather have Incision instead of Shred would be, as I said, probably Osilio and or Dio. But apart from that, Red Shred is way better, I'd say. And I can recommend this a lot. I usually, leading up to the event, I think I had Death Touch and Overcrowded instead of Remembrance and CNC as one-offs. My reasoning being that I thought both Overcrowded and Death Touch would be great into Mail in the Mirror, or like more grindier matchups. But it turned out that I didn't want Death Touch in the Mirror, and Overcrowded could be good, but it's so easy to play around, and the generic part gets in the way more often than I wanted to. So I rather just bring in another blue and use Remembrance, where I really expect the game to be a slog or a grind. So, and I don't think I ever missed these cards during the weekend. So all in all, I was pretty happy with my deck. If I want to pick on something, I guess it would be these. I know they're really good in many ways, but the only times I drew them, they were in the way and could possibly have cost me the games. I do understand they are very potent, but I also hate the Pearl block part. I think it's annoying. So I'm still on the defense about these. But going back to the presentation, me and my friends got to Rotterdam on Thursday night, and we participated in the first two events on Friday. I went 2-2 in my first warm-up event, one against the Vincent and a Kasai, lost against another Vincent and a Victor. And the second event I did won 3 games and then split the finals. I wasn't very happy with how I played the deck. For example, one of the losses against AV set, I used Mask into Trapdoor only to find I didn't have any traps left in deck. And it's such a stupid mistake and just sloppy by me. I could have double checked. I knew how many traps I brought, but I didn't bother to just look through the graveyard. It was just a bad mistake, and if I do those things in the calling, I don't deserve to go there too. Simple as that. I also had an issue with my altars. I uploaded a video a couple of months back where I painted on all of my shreds, and it turned out the shreds and some stains of red back weren't cleared by the head judge, so I had to scramble to get those cards together. The vendors usually don't bring rares to the events, so me and my friends got together. We bought the only box of Hunted that was on the prize wall, ripped all the boosters, and we got one red stains of red back, which we then we paid 2,400 ticks for. No other hits, no shelter, nothing good at all in that box. But then luckily, my friend Jakob hadn't left Sweden yet and actually could bring us the stains I needed. And the red shred actually was on sale. There was a vendor who had a Japanese pen promo something in Japanese, I think. And lucky enough, I also brought 2 extra shreds in my box back at the hotel. So I got my deck together. Thank God for that. It would have been very unpleasant if I had to register a deck list before, because I'm an idiot and didn't bring the cards I needed. And didn't bring extras of the ones I've altered. But everything worked out well. So, Saturday's calling. First round, I sit down against a Fang. And my game plan here is that since Fang, once he gets 3 fealty online, he can present very efficient, cheap damage turn and can block pretty good because he's a warrior. So my plan is to simply present better numbers than he does the turns up until he has his 3 fealty online. And I decided to bring all the D-reacts because every single one of them will be online against him. And in this game I drew pretty much what I wanted every hand. I think I had like Saver and Disruption hands 3 turns in a row, which made him lose to fealty. And he had to restart with a fealty count, and once he actually got to 3, he was in like it seems like a 30 something life deficit, so it was really tough for him. So first round was a win. And then second round, I played against the Yard, and this was a very, very close game. There are a couple of different Yard builds. I think I sideboard the same way against either of them, but the game plan could differ a bit depending on which one I'm facing. But pretty much the same thing as in the Victor. I have to take into consideration that I can be fatigued if I'm not somewhat disciplined with how I block, and I also can't take too much damage, because if he starts chaining Oaken Ult or Fellings into me, I can actually be losing by damage. And it seems like this Jarl, he didn't bring that much item destruction. I still got to flicking an early Graphene online, but this was a very long, very grindy game, and in the end it came down to like very few small margins. I don't remember exactly, but I think things like he drawing multiple staunches and what's his face, Pulse of Ice and Loft in the same hand, meaning he had to spend his entire hand without being able to present a Hammer Swing back one turn, and then having to block with like relevant cards like his Fellings and stuff. So it ended up with me taking enough cards from his hand so that I could present some kind of fork with him on a low life total, and me having enough reacts left in the deck to push through the last points of damage. But it was a very, very good and very close game, and I was super happy to take it down. Round 3, I played against an Ira, and I'm not very versed in this matchup. I feel like I never know how to beat them, and I'm pretty sure I play these games poorly as well. I didn't draw very powerful hands, so the deck didn't like present good things for me to do. It felt like he was outvaluing me from the get-go, and I probably should have blocked a bit more early game. Like I took a lot of damage to present meh turns back, and if I do that, it means like he will. This deck was built very well to convert most of his hands. I think I don't know how many D-reacts he ran. It was a couple, but it seemed like whenever I passed my turn without doing too much attacking to him, you can always use his 5 cards to good effect. So I wasn't like bailed out by Inertia Trap or Chorus of Inertia either. So I didn't draw well, but I didn't play well either. So I didn't deserve to win this. My opponent played very well, so he absolutely deserved the game. And I might as well add now, whenever I talk about my opponents or my experience during this tournament. I want to make clear about I never intend to disrespect or slander my opponents. If I want to, or if I feel the need to do that, I will. But there is no need. I try to talk about things from my perspective. So I never try to take anything away from my opponents. I think most of my opponents were super nice people, and I had a great time at the calling, both in wins and losses. So with that out of the way, moving on to round 4. This matchup feels like I feel favored. I don't know by how wide of a margin, but in general, I don't use the D-reacts. I have AB1 on my bulls. I hope they don't draw the nuts. If they don't, I usually get to put together bigger numbers than they do because of my disruption. If I can disrupt them for a bit, like every card I take from their hand means their combo gets a lot worse. So I think I usually feel pretty good in Tosilio, even though of course I can lose. This game wasn't very close because my opponent didn't draw that well. I drew very good, and he was like, drew Silio hands that couldn't block but can play. He played a couple of sigils, shocked me for 5. I said, okay, take 5, and then presented 20 back, and this happened a couple of times, so this was not a close game. Round 5, I faced Valda. And this is a matchup that I'm not well versed into at all. I think it's a rough one. I only ran 2 traps and then decided against bringing my D-reacts, and in hindsight, I think this was a bad decision by me. I think I should have had all 4 D-reacts because they help so much against Valda's crush effects. With the limited ways of punishing or even defending from crush effects, if they draw well enough, they can do a lot of damage to me, which I can't do anything about. And they have a couple of nasty on-hits as well, like Spinal Crush. It's very bad for us, and it helps a lot having the opportunity to D-react against that. And it's also a very, very important lesson to be learned here. The day before, on the Friday's event, my friend Peter Bross, shout out to him, played against this very player in a side event and decided to make one of the worst plays involving a codex I saw during this weekend. In short, Peter decided to play a codex to present Alien a witness. And in his head, what would happen was that the opponent had to block using his hand to save whatever card he picked from Arsenal. But what's actually happened was that the opponent got to pick their best attack. He had a couple of seismics, so he could play his best attack for free with 1 powerless though, but still could block out the Lino Witness and present the huge attack with Dominate back. And you never want to do that. Don't play. And the same goes against Victor for that matter. Don't play Codex unless you know you can do it safely. But because they have nasty attacks, they can swing at you if you're not careful. And in this game, I also there was a simple interaction. My opponent played a Spider Crush, and I went to the tank thinking about how I'm supposed to block this. I knew I had in my arsenal I had an inertia trap, so I would not get crushed by this. After a couple of seconds, my opponent goes, "Oh, would you mind if I just do one thing before I play the attack?" Yeah, of course, because I think genuinely this is the right thing to do. It's not. I hadn't given up any information up until that point, so I think it's fine to take back. What happened was that he played I don't remember the name, but the card that puts both players' arsenal on bottom, and whoever does that gets to draw a card. And this got rid of my D-react. It would make it so that I got crushed during my turn. He would get 1 seismic token, and from me drawing a card which I couldn't convert. So everything went incredibly poorly for me after that, and I thought like, oh gosh darn it, did I just give away the game by this? Because I had he had a pretty big life lead leading up to this event. But luckily enough, I had some scrappy turns, and I don't remember exactly, but I got to threaten a somewhat big kiss of death. I could give it go again with my boots, present some kind of a fork with either leaving him marked and me with a card in arsenal, or him blocking the mark out and me being able to play Lena Witness safely so that he couldn't save the attack, or he couldn't protect the attack he was getting from Lena Witness. So there was one really big turn when I got all tempo down. And once I got that, I was fortunate enough to be able to keep it until the game was over. So it was a really, really close one, and I think he ended this on 2 life at the end. Then round 6, I faced another victor, and this was the hard fatigue kind. I think, if I remember correctly, they had 3 of each of Fate Foreseen, Sink Below, Fiddler's Green, Oasis Respite, Shelter from the Storm, probably Rainbow Staunch. What else is there? Sun's Kiss, Sigil of Solace, Truce. It was such a bad experience for me, and I really, really didn't need this at that point of the day, because I knew I would be locked for day 2 if I win one more game. This is not how I want my tournament to end against a deck like this. I spoke to my friend Jakob about this matchup. Jakob Trossing also, he ended up, he's a very good player from Sweden. He ended up in 13th place, I think, through the calling. We spoke about this matchup, how we're supposed to play into it. And I think Jakob had a good argument about you can't really, this kind of fatigue deck, it's harder to take setup turns against those, because if we do, they either just swing at us with a hammer, but it also gives them very good opportunities to use the D-reacts at us, and they're probably fine if their turn cycle is block and use the Sun's Kiss. They are totally fine with that. It's not a problem for them. So I'm probably not supposed to take off turns. I have to present some kind of disruption with breakpoints, or else I won't win this. For example, if a turn that consists of cut for same cloth, or something like a dagger buff for 4, attack with graphene for 5, and then another dagger buff for 4, attack with another weapon for 5 or 6. That's a pretty decent turn, and is what I'm probably supposed to go for, because 5 is a hard number for them to block out efficiently. But I mean, I have a really hard time seeing us beating this matchup. I'm totally open for the possibility of it being a skill issue on my part, but this was it was an awful hour of my life that I'm never getting back. So moving on to round 7, this is the win-in for day 2, and it was pretty tense because I really wanted this to happen for mine. And things looked pretty bad in the sense that my opponent got a couple of sigils off, and he got to wobble 2 Sailors and 1 Orb Weaver. I did get the graphene from a Whittle, I think, but I felt that I was falling more and more behind. But even though my opponent got the wobbles off, he didn't put together that much damage anyway, because something like let's say he plays a Comet Storm, that's unblockable damage, but it's not like pitch 1 card to nuke me for 5 or 6. It's fine, it's not the worst for me. So as long as the game drags on and him not having a wombo combo, I can probably beat him. And what happened was that once he got his combo turn and had to go for it, he had gotten the flash and a couple of instants and popped boots and chest piece and stuff. He never got any spell to finish the turn with. So I survived somewhat comfortably and had opportunities to set up like a very, very hard turn for him to block with. I could present 2 dagger attacks with huge buffs in hand. So finally, we did it, and I got into day 2, and I was super stoked about it. So day 2 begins with me playing against my local friend Theo. Last time we played each other in a tournament, big tournament, was in the semifinals of Rotterdam in Copenhagen. And back then, Bonds of Agony was legal, and Mario was an entirely different beast back then. I still think this is a fine matchup. It could be a bit scary because of the potential of Dio going brr on my face. But I try avoiding that by using a couple of the 4 blocks I have, and trying to prioritizing 3 blocks as well. For example, I'm using I don't remember if I use 2 or 3 red shreds, because I mean, it is relevant. The dash has to block you every now and then. And if I could shred something, it's incredibly good for me. But if I don't, red shreds are totally fine blocking cards. They can block just as good as any other 3 block. And this game ended up, I wouldn't say one-sided, but once Theo got an alright turn off, but I noticed that he started his turn by playing a blue throttle for 4, activated Foundry Heart or something like that, playing another blue throttle, and then drawing into a blue trebuchet. So he went 4-4-1, and then finally got with a max V. But he didn't get the +2 from the trebuchet, which is like a bad combo turn. So I took a lot of damage still, but then he drew into, I think it was 8 out of 12 cards he drew was items, so he couldn't block and he couldn't present anything meaningful back to me. So I was lucky enough to take this down as well. Round 9, I played against the Huntsman, and I was super happy that Lennart, the very nice man I played into, he told me that he had been following my YouTube channel. And it's actually the first time that happened to me, that someone I didn't know complimented or said something about my YouTube channel. And it's a feel-good moment for me, and it really warmed my heart, and I'm very grateful for that. And I wasn't as grateful about the matchup. I don't think... I know that I'm not very versed into this, but what you see here is at least my game plan. I try to, maybe not fat deck, I didn't bring in like Amulet of Echoes and stuff, but I used a couple of extra cards and Remembrance. And my logic is that they can, while they can convert every once in a blue moon if they draw, for example, coercive tendencies, direct specialization, attack reaction. They can have a couple of chain links put together, and they can make a ton of silver. But if I pass the turn, they usually just go dagger, random contract card, which I don't block. There are actually very few cards that actually matters to me. I mean, Lina Witness can be great, and Surgical Extraction is very, very good against me. But apart from that, there are so many things I can't start blocking excessive blood loss, because if I do that, if I give excessive blood loss 2 cards, they got what they wanted anyway. And if they have an attack reaction to go over my blocks, I've lost so many cards for no reason. So it's usually better to just ignore the blood loss and random 0 for 4 contract cards, I think. And there was an interesting moment where I think I had upsticks in arsenal. I had tunic counter. No, I had tunic was on 2. Where tunic would be on 2 on my turn, and I had Saver, Prognosis, and Mid Madness in hand. Lennart tanks for a bit about if he's supposed to buy back his Black-Tech Whisperers, decide to do that in the end. Then he pitches Tendencies and presents a Surgical Extraction with 1 card in arsenal and 1 card in hand. And at this point, he has a Codex of Inertia. He has an Inertia token from Codex of Inertia. And I go into the tank, and I realize that if I knew this would only be surgical, I think it's fine to just tank it, face tank it, get rid of one of my savers, which sucks, but it's not the worst. But since he decided to buy back his boots, I figured he might have something else here. And he probably has some kind of reaction in his arsenal or hand, so that he has at least two things to do this turn. And if I try blocking this, he gets over and plays a Codex or Living Witness, something like that. I am royally boned. So I decide to block the surgical for 7 with Mid Madness, Prognosis, and my boots, so that I would cover up at least 1 attack reaction. It turns out he couldn't get over, so he passed the turn, getting inertiaed. I have a hand consisting of 2 savers and 1 upsticks in arsenal, so I just say pass. And this means that unless he has another surgical, I will have my next turn will be bonkers. And that's actually what happens. He can convert by dagger, a random excessive blood loss or something like that, leaving me with 5 cards and 2 savers. I think he was marked as well. And I was super happy about that play line, how things worked out. Red Shred was also a real MVP this game. I think I got full value out of the 2 I drew, shredding 4 armor or 4 blocks every time, and it's a really, really powerful card once you get that going, especially if you get to pick shred. If you get to pick shred Living Witness, it's a really, really good time. And I was super happy to take this down, because I feel like this is a very bad matchup for me most times. Round 10, playing against Arcadio. I don't think I ever... I played this matchup once before and lost it. I think it's a rough one. Because they have... Yet again, might be a skill issue on my part. I probably did the wrong thing going first. I probably did the wrong thing using black text rather than Stalker Steps in this matchup, because I need a safe go again. My opponent he didn't prevent the mark, but the first turn managed to block with a couple of cards beginning the game at 42. So everything on his round 1, as his first turn, was active, like Mocking Blow and stuff. And he did chain a couple of good turns together. I did a very good big mistake here, as you can see. There was time when I played cut, so a hand consisting of 2 CNC, pummel, and 7 packing. What I should have done, if I looked at this twice, first of all, I really missed Stalker Steps, because if I had Stalker Steps, this would have been great. This would have had a great turn. But now I made it so that if he blocked out my attack, don't remember which one, a stealth attack. I couldn't give it go again, and that meant I couldn't. Or don't remember. He could prevent getting marked, not giving my graphene go again. So I got to attack with a graphene 4/5. We cut from the same cloth, but I didn't get to play the codex that I had. If I just would have let go of the cut from the same cloth buff, I could have played codex and prevented him from keeping all these cards. But what ended up with me being Pummel CNC, where I think I blocked the CNC for 10 and he Arsenal the Pummel and did it to me later instead. So was a bad call by me. I actually clawed back into this game, even though I was very far behind, and there was a couple of lucky breaks during this for this to happen. Once I rolled into Trapdoor to get 3 bonus life. Once he didn't find a 6 power pitch for his claws, so they only came in for 3, so I only had to block them with 1 card instead of 2. And admittedly, we talked about the last couple of, mainly the last turn, my opponent realized quickly that he probably was supposed to just switch over to a fatigue plan because I didn't have that much damage left in my deck. But the final turn of the game, he took a clave to the face, making it so that my graphene came in for 2 with go again. And that made it so that he left himself open for a couple of buffs. He knew I had 1 toxin and 1 to the point left. I could have something like another attack as a chain ender. He left himself open to a couple of options, and he blocked a bit poorly, in the sense that if he just would have put card and his tunic in front of the dagger, he could have survived at 1. But instead he died from just pretty much my last possible hand. And if he would have survived that, he probably would have just fatigued me. He could have blocked harder and put the D-React in Arsenal. He would have been safe from a lot of stuff moving on from there. So unfortunate for him, but I guess I caught a lucky break this time around. Round 11, I faced the Victor with what I call a standard build with blocking cards and big attacks. And this is the last couple of days, ever since I got home, this game has haunted me. I feel really, really sad when I think about this. I'm not taking anything away from my opponent Dennis, who made top 8. He played it really, really well. I get nothing but nice things to say about him. Me on my part, I messed up. Like the first point here, using a T-Tox, I attacked for clave, had 2 cards left in hand. One was T-Tox and one was Stains of Redback. I figured if I mark him and have a Stains in Arsenal, I will be able to put together big next turn. Probably a bad call. I probably need to get more value out of my T-Tox, but they are such an important card in this matchup. So that was one mistake. And the third point is, I think he presented a CNC for just a simple plain CNC. Instead of just taking 6 and letting it go up 6 in Arsenal, I blocked it with let's say it was cut from the same cloth, scar tissue, to the point, something like that. I don't remember. I block with way more damage than I would have taken if I just would have taken the damage and the Arsenal. So it was a bad call by me. But the second one really, really hurts me. I don't remember the turn leading up to this, but I know that during his turn, I have the play line figured out for me. I know what I will do on my turn. What happens is I forget to take the tunic from 2 to 3, which means I don't have the resource for graphene. It's something like I go savor, another buff attacking with a big clave. I pitch yellow, so I don't have the resources for swinging the graphene as well. and if I remember correctly, I think I forced through a hit with the dagger, draw a card from Saver, which is an up sticks. And instead of just playing up sticks and being able to attack with Clave, with Graphene, I just say pass. It might be, I see here that I thought I missed 4 or 8 damage, depending on if it was an orb weave or whatever it was. I don't remember, my memory is a bit fuzzy, but the important part is that if I had that Graphene, or that tunic counter, I would be able to swing for at least 4 or 5 more damage, and it would have been enough at the end of the game. And this game is still very hurtful, thinking about it, because I felt like it's much like the finals of Nats this year. I have a hard time thinking about how happy I genuinely am somewhere on the inside, and how proud I am of what I accomplished. I think I had a good time. I think I played well most of the time, and I know that I had a lot of things going my way during the entire run. But I also have a really, really hard time letting this moment go. How I missed that sturdy counter and how much it cost me. It's a tough pill to swallow, to be frank. It's tough. Last round. At this point, I know I'm not in contention for the beta, unfortunately. But I guess this is a game for cash. And I play against Victor that I faced her in the side event on the Friday. I think I played pretty well this game. It was back and forth in the end. He was maybe a bit too quick on saying no blocks on a measly Witted from the Bone. So that I could, because it was marked, I could mantle it into the Kiss of Death, coming in for 9+1 because of the kiss effect. So he simply died from the attack, and he said he didn't think about mantle as a possibility at all, and it's unfortunate for him, but I mean, I'll take it at this point. So in the end, I ended up in 18th place. There was a lot of us at 9 wins. And I have to be honest, but I think I played well most of the tournament. There was some hiccups. And I think I was pretty lucky. I caught a couple of lucky breaks, as I've told you about, like rolling into trapdoor at the right time, my opponents not finding what they needed on a very important turn. But even though I'm proud of what I did, I will need a while to get over that round 11 victory loss. I think it was a really, really tough one for me. That fucking tunic counter. It's annoying. But I have been talking for about almost 45 minutes, and I got no more slides to present. As I said earlier, the deck list and at least some sideboard guide will be in the description. Feel free to ask me questions on YouTube comments or contact me on Discord. I am pretty active in the Discord, the Spider's Web, which is a great Discord for anyone who wants to get into assassin stuff. So until then, thank you guys for listening, and take care.